Hello everyone, welcome to the ITLS Academy. Today we'll be discussing about the food laboratories. As we know, in our previous lecture we have discussed about the sampling of the food material, and after taking the sampling, where it is go. Now next stage is your food laboratories, and let's understand what is the need for food analysis and why it is food laboratories and how it is maintained and what is the need of the food laboratories. So the first topic is the need for food analysis. With the growing concern about the food and health safety, the food regulatory authorities in different countries have imposed stringent mandatory norms for the presence of various toxicants, which, if present beyond a prescribed residual level, might prove hazardous to human health. As you know, food analysis is the discipline dealing with the development and application and study of analytical procedure for characterizing the properties of the food and their constituent. And as we know that food is a complex matrix consisting of different components, and these components may be categorized as the nutrients, additives, adulterants, and contaminants and toxicants. So we are talking about here about the constituents. So all the food products, whether it is raw or processed, are analyzed to provide information about a wide variety of different characteristics, including their composition and structures and physiochemical properties and sensory attributes. So the food is analyzed for several reasons. If we talk about, for example, it can be done for compliance with the legal and labeling requirements, or assessment of the product quality, or it may be due to the determination of nutritive value, and for the detection of the adulterants and research and development, and many of the purposes. So it has become important that all the food products for export out of the country should meet the regulatory norms of the prescribed limit of different toxicants in various food products. So it has, as we know, as government bodies regulate the permitted levels of the contaminants compounds, and much of this advancement has been derived by increased sensitivity and specificity of determination techniques, and by using the analytical instrument we can easily be able to find out what are the adulterants and what are up to which level the toxicants are being there in the food. So food safety is an issue of prime importance, and as I told, with the growing concern, it is up to us to detect the level of the toxicants or contaminants present in it. So food analysis serves as a unique and invaluable tools for all the food scientists, technologists, and regulatory authorities for the quality assurance and control of food products, to the study of different aspects of the food products. And as we have talked about that food, there is a need to check out whether what up to which level the additives are present or adulterants. So if you're talking about the nutrients in, for example, the proteins, amino acids, or total cholesterol, depending upon the foods product, some of them may be present at higher concentration level, while some may be present at lower concentration level as a part of per million. And if you're talking about the additives may be your color dyes or stabilizer or antioxidant or flavor fragrance, and the additives are added to the food products for the purpose of giving the food product desired appearance, textures, flavor, and and many of the time for extending the shelf life. So the additives are usually present at very low concentration level. That is why we have to check it at regular basis. Adulterants, if we talk about, they are added intentionally to the food products, mostly for the purpose of we can say cost benefit, and they may be present at higher as well as the lower amount, and they may be safe or sometimes may be highly toxic. And in animal cholesterol, in generally ghee and low cost vegetable oil in high cost vegetable oils, etc., these are the examples of the adulterants. Contaminants and toxicants are also be there. Some contaminants or toxicants may be physical or biological or chemical. If talking about the physical contaminants, it would include the wood, metal, insect matter, and glasses. pieces of glasses. Biological toxicants may be your microbes and pathogens we are know in our daily foods. Chemical toxicants may be the residual pesticides or residual antibiotics, mycotoxins, environmental pollutants like pH, dioxin, toxins, material, and these are the contaminants which may be present indirectly in the food. So most of the time these contaminants are not added intentionally, but what happened, they find their way into the food products from the environmental pollution, or if proper practice are not being followed during the agriculture or any storage or any processing. So the various toxicants are present at low level of concentration, and if present beyond a certain prescribed level of the concentration in the food products, then it may prove to be highly toxic or sometimes may be carcinogenic to the humans. And that is why there is a requirement for the food laboratories, and for to which the food samples are to be sent, and all the constituent levels and the food is gone through various tests to give the quality of the food. The report is done. Next topic is your accreditation of the food laboratory. So accreditation is defined as a procedure by which the accrediting body gives formal recognition that a laboratory or an organization is competent to carry out specific tasks. As we know, not all the laboratories are specific for the food testing. Only there are some of the laboratories that are being prescribed and given the certification for performing the various food testing. So food lab accreditation certifies that a lab is using the best test tools and methods for the need and performing those tests correctly under the ideal conditions. Laboratory accreditation enhances customer confidence in accepting testing and calibration report issued by the accredited laboratories. In India, the accreditation of the laboratory is done by the National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratories, that is your NABL. So laboratory accreditation provides a formal recognition of the competent laboratory, and thus providing a ready means for customers to find reliable testing and calibration service in order to meet their demand. And if we talk about the NABL, it is an Indian body and is an autonomous body under the aegis of the Department of Science and Technologies, the Government of India, and it provides the laboratories accreditation services to laboratories that are performing the test or calibration in accordance with the ISO and IEC 70025. Next, let's understand what is the processes of accreditation. Accreditation is generally divided into 5 stages. The stage 1 says to prepare your laboratory application for NABL accreditation, giving all the desired information and enlisting the test calibration along with the range and measurement uncertainty for which the laboratory has the competence to performance. So laboratory has to take a special care in filling the scope of accreditation for which the laboratory wishes to apply. In case the laboratory finds any clause not applicable to the laboratory, it shall furnish the reason. So laboratories are required to submit 3 sets of duly filled in application form for each field of testing calibration along with the 2 sets of quality manual and application fees. Then the NABL secretariat or receipt application will issue the acknowledgement to the laboratory after scrutiny of the application for it being completed in all respects, and a unique customer registration number will be allocated to the laboratory for the further processing of the application. So the next stage is the NABL secretariat shall organize the pre-assessment audit, which shall normally be carried by lead assessor or at the laboratory sites. The pre-assessment helps the laboratory to be better prepared for the final assessment. It also helps the lead assessor to assess the preparedness of the laboratory to undergo final assessment apart from the technical assessor, and total assessment mandates requires the scope of accreditation as per the application submitted by the laboratory. So a copy of a pre-assessment report will be provided to the laboratory for taking necessary corrective actions on the concern raised during the audit or if any. So the laboratory shall submit the corrective action report to the NABL Secretariat, and after the laboratory confirms the completion of the corrective action, the final assessment of the laboratory shall organized by the NABL body. Then comes your the third stage. The NABL Secretariat shall organize the final assessment at the laboratory site for its compliance to NABL criteria, and for the purpose appoint an assessment team. So the assessment team now shall comprise of a lead assessor as in the second stage, and the technical assessor in the relevant field depending upon the scope to be assessed. The lead assessor will provide a copy of consolidated report of the assessment to the laboratory and send the original copy to NABL Secretariat. Now the laboratory shall take necessary corrective action on the remaining non-conformance or the concern, and shall submit a report of NABL within a maximum period of 2 months. Then comes your fourth stage, that after satisfactory corrective action by the laboratory, the accreditation committee examines the finding of the assessment team and recommends additional corrective action if any by the laboratory. So accreditation committee determines whether the recommendation in the assessment report is consistent with the NABL requirement, and as well as the commensurate with the claim made by the laboratory in its application, and it shall make the appropriate recommendation regarding the accreditation of a laboratory to NABL Secretariat. Whenever possible, NABL will depute its own technical personnel to be present at the time of assessment as coordinator and NABL observer. Sometimes NABL may at its own cost depute a newly trained technical assessors as observer subjective to convenience of the laboratory to be accessed. Then comes your last stage, your fifth. The accreditation to a laboratory shall be valid for a period of 2 years, and NABL shall conduct periodical surveillance of the laboratory at interval of 1 year. So laboratory shall apply for renewal of the accreditation to it at least 6 months before the expiry of the validity of the accreditation. Next comes your the recognition and accreditation of the laboratories, research institute and referral food laboratory. The Food Authority may notify the food laboratories and research institution accredited by the National Accreditation Board for testing and calibration laboratories or any other accreditation agency for the purpose of carrying out analysis of the sample by the food analyst under this Act. The Food Authority shall establish or recognize by notification one or more referral food laboratory or laboratories to carry out the functions entrusted to the referral food laboratory by the Act or any rules and regulations made thereunder. So the Food Authority may frame regulations specifying the functions of the food laboratory and referral food laboratory and the local areas and areas within which such functions may be carried out. The procedure for submission to the said laboratory of samples of articles of the food for analysis or test, the forms of the laboratory reports thereon, and the fees payable in respect of such reports, and such other matters as may be necessary or expended to enable the said laboratory to carry out its functional effectively. Next comes your the analysis of food samples and reports. The first comes your the analysis of food samples by the food analyst. On the receipt of the package containing a sample of the food for analysis, the food analyst or an officer authorized by him shall compare the seals of on the container and the outer cover with the specimen impression received separately, and shall note the condition of the seal thereon as he received it. If the sample container received by the food analyst is found to be in broken condition or unfit for the analysis, he shall within a period of 7 days from the date of receipt of such sample inform the designated officers about the same and request him to send the second part of the sample for analysis. On receipt of the sample, the food analyst shall analyze or cause to be analyzed the sample and send the analysis report mentioning the method of sampling and analysis. The next is the analysis report is in 4 copies of the same shall be sent to the designated officer under whose jurisdiction the food safety officers functions. The analysis report shall be signed by the food analyst, and such report shall be sent within the 14 days of the receipt of the sample by the food analyst. After test or analysis, the certificate thereof shall be supplied forthwith to the sender, and the fees payable in respect of such a certificate shall be 1,000 per sample of the food analyzed. The certificate is issued under these rules by the laboratory shall be signed by the director. Next topic is the purchaser may have the right for the food and to be analyzed. A purchaser of a food article may, if he so desires, have the articles analyzed by the food analyst. If the purchasers desire to have the food article purchased by him to be analyzed by the food analyst, he shall give a notice in written then and there, and his intention to have it so analyzed to the person from whom he has purchased the food article. The purchaser shall follow the same procedure as discussed in our previous slide, insofar they are applicable for taking samples by the food safety officer or the authorized officer. The purchaser shall pay the prescribed fee to the food analyst for carrying out the analysis, and the report of the food analysis shall be sent within the 14 days of the receipt of the article of the food for analysis. So the food analyst shall send the purchaser his report after that and analysis for the article of the food, and if the findings of the report is to be effected that the article of the food is adulterated or misbranded or contaminated or does not conform to the standard prescribed under the act or regulation, so the food analyst shall also send a copy of his report to the designated officer of the area in which the article of the food was purchased, in addition to sending a copy to the report of the purchaser. If the report of the food analyst shows that the article of the food is not in compliance with the provision of the act or the rule or the regulation made thereunder, the purchaser shall be entitled to get refund from the designated officer the amount of fees paid by him to the food analyst. Thank you for being with us. For more information, please log on to our website www.itlsacademy.com, and you can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and yes, do subscribe our channel ITLS Academy at YouTube. Thank you.